Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to take a look at a favorite jazz fusion band of mine. I know we've had a lot of folks who have been asking, Pete, when are you going to start ranking some of those fusion bands? You know, like Mahavishnu Orchestra and Tony Williams' Lifetime and Weather Report and Brand X and Return to Forever. Well, you got Return to Forever today, folks. Not a big catalog, but a good one. Kind of, the band really kind of shifted gears a couple different times along the way. But at the helm always was a guy named Chick Corea. He basically started the whole band, released an album in 1972, called Return to Forever, which later became the name of the band. So for all intents and purposes, kind of like what I did with the Leslie Weston Mountain thing a while back, I am going to count that Chick Corea album, Return to Forever, as the first official Return to Forever release. So we got 7 of them in total. This is just the studio albums here. All right, we got a couple live albums that have come out in various points over the last 40 plus years, close to 50 years. But we're just going to talk about the 7 studio releases. So I'm going to go in the order of my preference. I got to say, I like this discography quite a bit. There's some aspects of a couple of the albums that I don't really dig a lot, but musically, I absolutely love everything that's on all of these albums. A really, really talented band with some amazing musicians that, when you really look at it, were really only together for 5 years. Hard to believe. Just 5 years. But some great music nonetheless. And of course, guys like Chick Corea and Stanley Clarke and Al Di Meola and, Lenny White, Billy Connor, Joe Farrell, Airto Moreira. I mean, these are people who are just, legends in the jazz community. So I'm going to start off with 1972's Return to Forever album, okay, which is this right here. Some of you might be saying, but man, that's such a great one. It's considered a classic. Yeah, and it is really good. Problem is, I have an issue with vocals in Return to Forever's music. I just don't think they were needed. Nothing against Flora Purim, okay? I listened to this album and there's some great stuff on here. The title track, Return to Forever, is awesome. You got Crystal Silence. What game shall we play today? And of course, the Some Time Ago La Fiesta epic, 23 minutes and change. Fantastic music. You got Chick basically on Fender Rhodes electric piano. You got Joe Farrell on flutes and soprano saxophone. Flora Purim on vocals. Stanley Clarke on electric and acoustic bass. And Airto Moreira on drums and percussion. Great band. Musically, sensational stuff. Again, this is coming at a time, Chick kind of fresh from Miles Davis's band, wanting to kind of start up a new band, incorporating rock elements with jazz, electronic instruments, all that sort of thing. Musically, fantastic. It's atmospheric. It's melodic. Okay, there's all sorts of experimentation going on, but man, on a few of the tracks, things are going along, rumbling along, the electric piano, the bass, the percussion, the sax, all, and then Flora Purim comes in with her, operatic vocal wailing, and it kills it for me. I feel the same with a couple of the other albums that have vocals on them. It just was not needed. I know some people dig it, and her vocals, and I totally get that. For me personally, if they had a purely instrumental version of this album, I might be singing a different tune here. Because musically speaking, it's awesome. It's awesome. But I don't need the vocals. I don't know why they decided to do that. But whatever. Same thing could be said for 1973's, their follow-up, coming in at number 6, Light as a Feather. Here you got the exact same lineup. Now it's officially Chick Corea and Return to Forever. All right. Same thing here. Outstanding music and arrangements and musicianship. The title track, Light as a Feather. Man, it's just so, the arrangement, so intelligent, so perfectly put together. Right, you got, Chick's electric piano and the sax and the light and the shade and the fast and the furious and Stanley's amazing bass playing. Captain Marvel, another great tune. 500 Miles High, children's song, and of course the gorgeous Chick Corea song, Spain. Great music. Don't need to hear Flora Purim. I just say what you want. If you love her in this stuff, fantastic. But I don't know. This kind of jazz for me does not need vocals, and especially like her vocals are just they're so up here and like kind of like operatic, and yeah, maybe in certain points they're kind of soothing, but I just for some reason it's every time she comes to the microphone, for me anyway, for my ears, it's a little jarring. And I just wish that these albums, the couple in question, were just completely instrumental like the rest of the catalog. So that's why they don't rank as high for me. But I still like them. I still listen to them. I dig them. I dig them. I just don't like them as much as the others because you like, the next one. Where is it? Here we go. Musicmagic from 1977. Very similar type of scenario here. So this is the last studio album they would do. Basically, this is after the full-on electric, almost kind of like rock period. And here you've got Lenny White has since flown the coop. Al Di Meola has flown the coop. You've got Joe Farrell back yet again. Let me get you the exact lineup here. You got here on vocals, instead of Flora Purim, you got Gail Moran. And Gail Moran was actually the wife of Chick Corea. Or is the wife of Chick Corea. So she's back. She's in the band here. So you got Chick Corea on, acoustic piano, like Fender Rhodes electric piano, clavinet, ARP Odyssey, Mini Moog synthesizers, Poly Moog, Moog 15 modulator, blah, blah, blah. Gail Moran on piano, Hammond B3 organ, vocals, and Poly Moog. Joe Farrell on flute, saxophones. James Tinsley on trumpet. John Thomas on trumpet and flugelhorn. James Pugh on tenor, trombone, Harold Garrett on trombone, Stanley Clark on bass and acoustic bass and vocals, and Jerry Brown on drums. So this is more of like Chick Corea's electric band, big band. This is like, not electric band, sorry, Return to Forever. This is Chick Corea's Return to Forever, almost Return to Forever big band style. This music is very lively. Like I said, you got all these kind of reeds and horns going on, so it's got a different feel from some of the more rock-based stuff and even the very early stuff. But again, you got those vocals, and it's just like, and they're a little easier to take on this album for me anyway. I find this album an easier listen overall than the other two that I just talked about, even though the music is more of kind of like that period on those first two albums. I like the kind of big noise going on, big jazz noise. Make a jazz noise here, going on here. But then, man, when Gail and it just starts singing, I'm just like, oh man, I just don't know why. But whatever. It's not like having the vocals on any of these albums, all of a sudden got them radio play or chart sales. It didn't really matter. Jazz fans are going to listen to their music regardless of whether it's commercial or not. And just musically speaking, some fantastic stuff going on there, right? But like I said, I dig those albums. When I reach for Return to Forever stuff, I don't reach for those first because I want to hear the meat and potatoes of, the band, the musicianship, the instrumental virtuosity and those great songs that quite frankly didn't need vocals. So coming in at number 4 for me is going to be, 1975's No Mystery. So here we've got the foursome, basically the classic foursome of Chick Corea, Lenny White, Stanley Clark, and Al Di Meola. Like I said, 1975. Some fantastic tunes on here. You got Day Ride, Jungle Waterfall. And what's great about this lineup is you got all guys in the band writing material. Okay, you got Flight of the Newborn, fantastic. A lot of funk on this album. Okay, they were doing a lot of funky stuff on here. You had, Lenny White's influence, I think, really coming through. Stanley Clark had a lot of funk to his playing and his songwriting. Sophista Funk, excerpt from the first movement of Heavy Metal. It's just killer, and Chick wrote that one. You got the majestic, melodic No Mystery title track. So magnificent is that song. A classic from this band. You got the quick interplay and then the 2-part suite celebration suite parts 1 and 2, which is absolutely incredible. Okay, again, the way these guys had that almost like kind of mental synergy going from member to member to member, just the unison lines that they'd be doing, with the drumming in the back, Lenny's drumming in the background, Stanley and Chick and Al doing these crazy complex lines. I mean, it's just, it's just as much influenced by classic jazz as is by like the prog rock that was really happening at the time, right? Because its music is very rock focused. It's got, I mean, all these guys are jazz guys, but there's plenty of rock influence, plenty of funk influence, killer stuff. You got the Chick on acoustic and electric piano, clavinet, Yamaha organ, synthesizers, marimbas, and so on and so forth. You got Stanley on acoustic and electric bass. He's also playing organ and synths. Lenny on drums, percussion, and Al Di Meola, of course, on acoustic and electric guitars. A fantastic album. Next up, number 3, 1973, is Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy. Basically the same lineup, except this is the first of the really true electric albums. You have Billy Connors on electric guitar, and before Al Di Meola joined the band, and Al was basically still a teenager when he joined these guys. I think he was like 18 or 19 years old. So, but this is with Billy Connors on electric guitar. Amazing electric guitar, I might add. He does some savage work on here. You talk about some of the real notable kind of jazz or jazz fusion guys from this period, and even though he's not nearly as prolific as some of the other guys, you got to include Billy Connors in with like Di Meola, McLaughlin, and Coryell, and Holdsworth, and those guys. Fantastic player, and this is some of his best playing you're going to hear on this album. But apparently he really wasn't into touring, and the band really wanted to tour, and that's one of the reasons why he left the band. But here you got, the incredible Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy, the title track, kick-ass. A lot of rock influence on this album. This is just a lot of rock riffing going on here. After the Cosmic Rain, you've got the incredible Corea composition, Captain Senior Mouse. And you have to love like all the little Latin touches going on throughout this album, which are also, you hear a lot of on the very, very early albums, okay? You got Theme to the Mothership, which I absolutely love. You got Space Circus Part 1 and 2. And The Game Maker. Just amazing arrangements on this album. Dogs are going ballistic because my wife just came home. Fantastic stuff. I really love this album a lot. I really dig this band so much. Coming in number 2, I've been kind of going back and forth with my number 1 and 2 for years. For many, many years, my number 2 was my number 1, and it wasn't even not even a second thought. But in more recent years, I've actually, what's going to be number 1 today is the album that I seem to kind of go to more often. This is what happens when you have huskies and someone comes to the house. You hear all this like hubbub. The crying and it's just crazy. It's like a pack of wolves downstairs. Anyway, my number 2 from 1976, their classic Romantic Warrior from Return to Forever. This would be the last album of that classic lineup with Di Meola, Corea, White, and Clark, before 2 of them would move on to other things, solo careers. And in would come in the more bigger band, right? But here we've got the incredible Medieval Overture. You got the legendary Sorceress, with a killer, blazing solo from Al Di Meola. You've got the title track, The Romantic Warrior, just gorgeous. I mean, some of these melodies and arrangements are just absolutely spectacular. Majestic Dance, The Magician, another fantastic song. Cool, like kind of medieval things going on, and little bits of Baroque and straight jazz and funk, great stuff. And then, of course, finishing it all off with the incredible Duel of the Jester and the Tyrant, Parts 1 and Part 2. 11 minutes and change of pure jazz fusion bliss. Like I said, a lot of prog on this album, too. This, might be, from an artistic perspective, probably their greatest achievement. The reason why I've got Where Have I Known You Before from 1974 as my number 1, I love, this is like their kind of jamming album. There's tons of jamming and soloing going on in this album. This album is probably their most, next to Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy, probably their most ferocious from a musicianship perspective. Like I said, a lot of loud jamming and riffing going on here. Plenty of guitar and keyboard and bass solos. There's a ton of funk on this album. Really heavy, down and dirty funk. Okay, you got Vulcan Worlds, incredible song. Where Have I Loved You Before? The Shadow of Low. Man, the guitar riffing going on in that song is just absolutely killer. Where Have I Danced With You Before? You've got Beyond the Seventh Galaxy, which is kind of like a part 2 of, Hymn into the Seventh Galaxy. You've got Earth Juice, more kind of really cool, funky, jazzy stuff going on there. Then you have the title track, and then, of course, to finish it all off, the epic 14-minute-plus song to the Pharaoh Kings, which is another incredible piece of songwriting and, kind of song creation from Chick Corea and which allows all the members of the band time to do some solos and things like that, yet they all bring it back together, and just incredible stuff. I really, really love this band a lot. If you've never listened to Return to Forever and you're at all into jazz or progressive rock, certainly I highly recommend you listen to these guys. Even if you're more of like a hard rock guy or metal guy, I think you could appreciate the musicianship going on with these guys. It's just absolutely amazing. They still kind of are in, well, it's been a while, but they still are somewhat exist in some sort of configuration. You got Stanley Clarke, Chick Corea, and Lenny White, along with Frank Gambale, who's guitar player for the Chick Corea Electric Band, as well as Jean-Luc Ponty, electric violin, has been in the band in its most recent incarnation. I don't know, I don't think they have any plans to record new material. I wish they would, but they have done some tours and some live albums and things like that. So very, very cool to at least see them kind of even in a later configuration. They also did get back together with Al Di Meola for a spell too, before he left to go back solo again, and Gambale came in, but a great band nonetheless. So number 1 for me, Where Have I Known You Before from 74. Number 2, Romantic Warrior from 76. Number 3, Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy from 73. Oh, sorry, 70. Romantic Warrior 76. Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy from 73. No Mystery from 1975. Musicmagic from 77. Light as a Feather from 73. And coming in at number 7, Return to Forever, the debut from 1972, listed as a Chick Corea album, but that's the birth of Return to Forever right there, so I'm going to count it. So rank these as you like them. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. It all depends on, we all hear these albums and love these albums differently. So I'm sure some of those really, really early ones, the 2 early ones or even the later ones, they're probably people who don't mind the vocals, might enjoy them more than I do, and that's totally cool. I do enjoy them quite a bit. I kind of tune out a little bit when the vocals are coming on, because it's like they just didn't need them, I didn't think. But musically speaking, fantastic. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. So stay tuned later tonight. Chris Caffrey's coming on from Sabotage and Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We're going to do a top 10 song show of Sabotage. Don't want to miss that. So stay tuned, and otherwise, see you tomorrow. We got, what's tomorrow? 1982, right? Did we do 82 today? No, we did 81 today. 1982, favorite album of the year tomorrow. Don't want to miss it. So we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.